Well, the Secretary-General of the United Nations is making his first visit to Russia since the start of the war in Ukraine. Antonio Guterres is in Moscow to meet President Vladimir Putin, but ahead of that, he held talks with Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Guterres urged Russia to allow civilians to escape the conflict and let the UN provide humanitarian assistance. Hundreds of people remain trapped in the steelworks in the southeastern port city of Mariupol.
We recognize that we face a crisis within a crisis in Mariupol. Thousands of civilians are in dire need of life-saving humanitarian assistance and many of evacuation. My proposal is for a coordinated work of the United Nations, the International Committee of the Red Cross, and Ukraine and Russian Federation forces to enable the safe evacuation of those civilians who want to leave, both inside the Azovstal plan and in the city, in any direction they choose, and to deliver the humanitarian aid required.
Well, let's get the perspective from Russia now. We can join our correspondent, Galina Polanskaya. Galina, good evening to you. We've heard from the UN Secretary-General saying that he's a messenger of peace, calling for a ceasefire. Yesterday, however, we heard from Sergei Lavrov, who once again raised the prospect of nuclear war. So are both sides talking past each other here?
Hello. Well, that's something which is probably happening yesterday. Indeed, Sergei Lavrov said that the risk of a nuclear war over Ukraine should not be underestimated, and he called this risk real. And the interview was broadcasted on Russian state TV just hours before the meeting with the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres in Moscow. And Antonio Guterres at the final press conference said indeed that there were clearly two different positions on what was happening in Ukraine. So it was clear that those talks were very, very difficult, but we understood that Mr. Guterres was trying to find some solutions to help people in Ukraine. So he proposed to establish this humanitarian contact group to bring together Ukraine, Russia and the UN. And we have heard what he proposed to do in Mariupol. And we have also heard that Sergei Lavrov responded that Russia opens humanitarian corridors on the daily basis. We have been hearing that from Russia actually almost every day. So Sergei Lavrov also blamed Ukraine for not willing to go forward with the peace talk, with the peace process, and urged it to answer, to respond to Russia's proposals, and said that Russia has been waiting for 10 days. And so now Mr. Guterres is supposed to meet with Vladimir Putin, but those talks, the timing is apparently postponed, and hopefully it will happen tonight later on.
And as a backdrop to those talks, we've also got the explosions that we've been seeing in Transnistria. Is this something that Moscow's talking about, and what are they saying?
Well, the Kremlin said that Russia was seriously concerned about what has happened. Putin's spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that Moscow was following the events in Transnistria very, very closely, but nothing more. And on Tuesday, the Russian Foreign Ministry said that it hoped that Transnistria would not be involved in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, so Russia would not have to intervene. It was a real novosti quote in one of the foreign ministry officials' report. And what is interesting is that the explosions in Transnistria happened 3 days after a Russian senior military official, actually deputy commander of the Central Military District of the Russian Armed Forces, Rustam Minikaev, said that one of Russia's goals was to establish a land connection with Transnistria, and he spoke about facts of oppression of Russian-speaking population there.